But now the commandant traffic has different roles. Yeah. There before we used to do enforcement of all traffic laws, regulations, traffic laws and regulations. But nowadays at the traffic headquarters, which is along Thika Road, Ruaraka, we do collection of accident statistics. We do public sensitization on road safety and also advising on traffic matters across the country. So basically that is what the commandant traffic does. Enforcement of traffic laws was devolved to the county commanders, to the county level. You find that now traffic officers are under respective OCSs or officer commanding stations. So they are not directly answerable to the commandant of traffic department.
Oh, so they are answerable now to the officer commanding that station or officer commanding that police division?
Yes, or county. Yes.
Like that?
Yes.
What do you call the senior officer at county level? The senior traffic officer at county level? Is there a rank? Or is the senior is, of course, the county police commander?
Yes.
But in charge of traffic is there?
We don't have an in charge of traffic at the county level. You will find an in charge of traffic at the regional level. Yes, we call them regional traffic enforcement officers.
Do they all then fall under you here then in Nairobi, or are there other? How does that hierarchy work? There are other commandants then or is there one central then under them?
No, the traffic of management of traffic was devolved to counties, so they are not answerable to me. Okay. But I have units which are directly under me. I have the Northern Corridor Transit Police Unit. These are the officers who take care of transit goods from Mombasa to Malaba. And then we also have the Axle Load Enforcement Unit. These are the officers attached to the way bridges. We have 11 way bridges across the country. The officers you see assisting way bridge management to direct vehicles to be weighed. These are officers under the commandant traffic. Then we also have officers attached to the government vehicle check unit. The other is called GVCU. So these are the units under me, and I also have a branch which deals with road safety, and that is where Mr. Odiabo is attached. And basically we do collect accident data, accident and enforcement data from across the country, which we collect and disseminate to relevant government agencies which require that data.
I see.
Yes.
Bono Odiabo.
Yes.
In charge of road safety.
Yes.
What is it road safety? Is it safety off the road or safety on the road?
I'd go with safety on the road because we want to ensure that as Kennedy Latif drives from home to work, he's safe and he gets back home safe. We want to ensure he arrives alive and he follows the traffic act. So and the highway code. So I would go with safety on the road.
But the road user?
Yes.
All road users?
All road users.
Now let's also define the road users. Who are road users?
Road users are all drivers, pedestrians, surprisingly, even animals. Because now you'll see people from Mr. Latif's community, are bringing their livestock on the road. So everybody who uses the road, irrespective of whether they're driving, they're using a motorized vehicle, or they are cycling, or they are just crossing the road. Yes.
Or feeding on the road.
It's an offense to feed on the road.
It is.
Yes.
Yes.
You're supposed to take care of your animal. They should not interfere with traffic.
Yes.
That's interesting.
Yes.
Okay. So what are some things that we look for when we're talking about safety on the roads? What are some things that we're saying then, if we see 1, 2, 3, it's a contravention of the Traffic Act, and that will get somebody into a spot of trouble. Okay. What are some of the things that we're saying you must adhere to 1, 2, 3 that you then look out for?
Number one is speed. When you're driving on the road, the recommended speed limits, okay? Like if you are driving a personalized car on the dual carriageway, you are not supposed to exceed 110 kilometers per hour, okay? On a single carriageway, 100 kilometers per hour, you're not supposed to exceed that, okay? That is just to mention, but two, concerning speed. It's very detailed.
Yeah.
If you're a motorcyclist, you're supposed to be wearing a helmet, okay? You're not supposed to carry two passengers, okay? If in case you are to carry two passengers, ensure the other passenger is less than 13 years of age.
Okay.
You're not supposed to carry a passenger and a luggage. That's for motorcyclists. And I'm more concerned with that because they are the second leading fatal victims on the road. That is motorcyclists. The leading, ironically, are passengers, not passengers, but pedestrians, who have not necessarily been gone to driving school to be educated on how to use the road.
Yeah.
Okay, so they are the leading number of fatalities on the road are pedestrians. So if you are a pedestrian, are you crossing the road on the designated crossing areas? Okay, when you're walking on the road, do you walk, against traffic so that you see oncoming vehicles? Okay, are you using your phone? We see the generation, is it Generation Z, who always have their earphones and their phones on the road. Okay, are you ensuring that you're using the road as you should use it? Okay, and yes, and that kind of things as we go there. Every road user has regulations that they are required to adhere to.
That requires awareness.
True.
Whose responsibility is it to create awareness?
I'd say this is a shared responsibility. The police, of course, are mandated by the law. But as a civilian, it's your civil duty, okay, to ensure that I know, because it's in the law and it's in the public domain, to know that when I'm using the road, this is what I'm supposed to do. As a driver, you're taken to driving school and you're taught this. So even as I come to initiate, I'm just emphasizing, I'm supposed to build up on what already exists, okay? Not necessarily start from square one. So that it's your civil duty that when I'm using the road, because ironically, you find children, when you leave your house in the morning, you tell your son, when you're crossing the road, look right, look left, look right again.
Yes.
Then 80% of accident victims are adults, not children. The children will ironically obey. You'll tell them one or two or three things that they're supposed to do when they're crossing the road. They will obey that. The adults, unfortunately, they won't. Further with that statistics, between 70 and 80% of accident victims are men. I'll leave that to further emphasis.
Say again.
Yes.
Repeat.
For clarity purposes.
Yes, between 70 and 80%. I know this is music to your ears.
Of the pedestrian?
Of accident victims are men.
And this is not necessarily just pedestrians. We're talking about car users as well.
All users. Okay. And of course, it's indicative because the highest number of victims, of course, the pedestrians account for between 36 to 40% of accident victims of fatalities. So that goes to show.
Are you able to then point to, Madam, let's talk about, this is very interesting, but then looking at the cause of this, is it non-adherence to traffic rules? Is it, because I guess one of those traffic rules is then, one, we don't want people driving under the influence of anything. So are we talking about non-adherence to rules, carelessness on the roads? What can be attributed to these accidents? Because I think if we look at that, then you'll be able to know then how to curtail some of these and reduce on the numbers, isn't it?
Okay. Thank you, Madam, for that question. Research has shown that 86% of accidents are caused by human error. Okay. Human error, and as Mr. Odhiambo has put it, 36% of these accidents involve pedestrians. So it is just our behavior on the road. Pedestrians crossing the roads as at undesignated areas. And you have seen areas where we have footbridges. Why don't they want to use footbridges? We have areas where they designated, and you find a person alighting from a bus or a matatu, and they cross the road immediately. They are not taking due care of themselves. And again, we have seen a new trend where people are now wearing the earphones, earpods, and they are not taking care of themselves while crossing the road. Even when somebody hoots, you are not able to hear. And we have had to take bodies to the mortuary, and when during post-mortem you find that this person has earpods. So these are some of the things and somebody crossing the roads at night, and you're not wearing visible clothes. The clothes you are wearing are dark, so it's not possible for somebody to see you. And again, how are our roads, the design of our roads, are they well lit at night? Sometimes you find somebody crosses the road and you just miss narrowly to hit that person because our roads are not well lit. And again, now when it comes to drivers, especially as Mr. Odiabo has said, male road users are the ones who are more vulnerable. Yeah, because they are excited by speed. I dare say so. They are excited by speed. And another thing which also causes accidents is fatigue. You're tired, you still have to drive. Especially men, they don't trust their women to drive them. I can say so. Even my husband, he will not trust me to drive him.
The commandant.
No.
They don't trust
I'm
us.
The provider. I am provider of transport services.
Yes.
I'm a provider of a home.
So you are the one to drive, but women are more careful. They are more careful.
But they don't like driving.
We drive. They say that women do not drive; they move vehicles. But I disagree. So the speed is the leading cause.
This is actually the killer.
Yes, cause of accidents.
Yeah.
So and another thing is you don't plan your journey. You wake up today in the morning, you say I have to drive to Mombasa, and you had not planned that journey well. You did not sleep well. Sometimes you're not feeling well. So those are some of the factors which contribute to accidents. They are things which are within us. Why do you want to drive and use your cell phone? You're distracted, failing to observe lane discipline. You want to overtake, you see there's an oncoming vehicle, you do not want to know how the speed. You cannot judge the speed at which it's coming.
Yeah.
And again, when you are under the influence of drink or drugs, your judgment is impaired. You're not able to drive that vehicle effectively. Yes.
Let's just call it what it is. It's just bad manners.
Manners, yes.
There's a lot of bad manners by road users.
Yes.
On very many things. And it's just it's a product of impunity. It's impunity because you did it once, you got away with it, or other factors have led you to it. But I'd like also to put it to you that, as you say, 86% of accidents are attributed to human error. I'd like to counter that by saying I think there's a high percentage of road accidents that are caused by infrastructure, design, maintenance of infrastructure in very many ways. That you have roads that, the way they were designed, they'll lead to an accident.
Yes.
There'll be an accident black. Why do we have an accident black spot? Was that not foreseen in design, that, this would be a sharp corner, and what happens at a sharp corner? What happens here? Why do we have those poorly lit roads at night and they are carrying a lot of traffic? Why do you have sections of the road that are not well marked? So you don't know where the lane begins, where the lane ends. Warning signs. We are supposed to have road signs on the road. You're saying I'm supposed to observe certain speed limits. So I know Thika Superhighway is a dual carriageway, is a highway, 110 is the maximum. But then Nakuru, Mombasa, Nairobi, Nakuru is, what do you call it, single carriageway. It's a single carriageway. There are parts of it that are highway, there are parts of it that are not. But then there are very many areas where there are no signs that show me the speed limit is reducing from 100 to 80 to 60 to 50 to 40. And so I don't know. So I am supposed to observe speed limits, but there's no signage that's showing me what the speed limit is at this point, that it ends, it begins. So I'd say a lot of these things, infrastructure is a great contributor to road accidents. And I think we ought to approach that and accept that as our reality so that those who are in charge of it can do something about it.
Okay, I agree with you. I think about 10% of accidents are caused by the condition of the road.
10?
Yeah, about 10 to 11. Yeah, because because you see, even as a driver, even if the road is in whatever condition, you are also supposed to be alert, yeah, to be alert. And if you are driving at the right speed, yeah, you will be able to bring your vehicle to an effective stop in case of anything. But again, I agree with you. Some of our roads are not forgiving. A forgiving road is the one we should accommodate in case of an accident. For example, you find some roads have got hanging, what do we call them? The road furniture are not good. The guardrails, they are protruding. And in case of an accident and you are pushed to that guardrail, you can only imagine what can happen. And again, sometimes you find the bumps, speed bumps have been erected at night and you're not aware. They also cause accidents. So some of our roads are not forgiving, the designs, but I believe that for any driver to get a driving license, you went to a driving school and you are taught the speed limit in Kenya is 100 kilometers per hour on a highway and only 110 on Thika Road, the super highway.
Yeah, dual carriage.
And when you are approaching a built-up...
Only on Thika Road, is it 110?
Yes,
dual carriage.
Dual carriage. We only have that
only on
Thika super highway.
Na ingine hapa Wayakiwe nini?
Kenya ni 100 kilometers per hour, but if you are approaching a built-up area, you should reduce your speed to 50 kilometers per hour.
True.
And then if you are approaching a school, you should do 30 kilometers per hour.
True.
So
but I need to know that I'm approaching a built-up area, don't I?
Yeah, you need to. You can see.
Where does it begin?
But the warning should be. There should be enough warning. But the problem with Kenya is also vandalism. This
Do
sign.
People know that the limit, because we've been on the highways. Do people know that the limit is 100 kilometers everywhere in Kenya on a highway, except the Thika superhighway?
Yeah, they know.
They know, but we just still drive like maniacs.
No, but madam,
speaking, 100
Southern
kilometers
bypass is 110.
I think it was reviewed.
Dual carriage, isn't it?
I think I don't know if it has been reviewed or something, but it is a super.
Sorry, madam. I know Eric wants us to go on a break, but I just want to ask this question before we come into now festivities. Also with you, Bona Odiambo, to ask about certain things. However, on this note, is it possible to do a reintroduction of some of these numbers? Because I can guarantee you there are many people using the highways today who don't know about this 100 kilometers.
And who will be using it tomorrow and the day after.
Yes, and don't know about this 100 kilometers. And two things could happen. They could get in an accident, or number two, they could get arrested if having been found, using. And they say, what do you mean 100 kilometers? I've been driving on this road for 10 years, slamming on 120 and above.
Yes. When we do a retest, when drivers, there was a sample number of drivers that were retested. More than 50% failed the retest.
Wow.
You have a civil duty to want to find out, okay? Because it's impossible to take back everybody back to driving school.
True.
So we are creating awareness.
Yeah.
This is one such instance where we are creating awareness. But in addition to that, seek to know so that you interact with this information. It's normally available on very many of our websites, even on the NTSA website. So, and I'd rather I'd rather be cautious. I'd rather do 80, even if I'm allowed 100. Yes. Because even if I'm going for Christmas, what is the rush?
Chakula itaisha.
You will buy some more.
When ndio unangojewa. Sherehe yanzi. It has to happen when you're there. Let's take a break. We'll continue shortly. 28 minutes to 10. It's important to talk about road safety as we get into this festive season, because like the police officers are telling us, very many people die on our roads every year, and particularly in the festive season. We'll actually look at those numbers again. Fatalities per quarter, per year. Many of those accidents are pedestrians. 36% of fatalities on our roads are on pedestrians. That's a very, very high percentage. And as we focus on road safety, we usually talk about the motorists, but we forget that there are other road users who also end up dying. Many would be considered innocent deaths. Are they? Or are they not? Our guest this morning, Mary Wangui Omari, is Assistant Inspector General of Police. She's a traffic commandant. Peter Odhiambo is in charge of road safety at the Traffic Police Headquarters. We'll be back shortly. Good morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
All right, this morning, partly cloudy conditions in Nairobi, 20 degrees, highs of 26 and lows of 16. And we'll see lows of 14 in a sunny Nakuru, going to highs of 26. It's sunny at 20 in Nyeri with highs of 27. And 19 and sunny in Eldoret, going to highs of 25 and lows of 13. In Mombasa, it's cloudy at 29. And we're looking at sunny conditions at 30 in Malindi. Kisumu is sunny at 25 and sunny at 24 in Kakamega. Out into Kampala, partly sunny at 22. It'll go to highs of 28. And we'll see highs of 31 in a sunny Dar es Salaam at 29. Johannesburg is cloudy at 20, highs of 27, and we're looking at sunny conditions at 30 in Mogadishu and 18 and sunny in Addis Ababa. It's a hazy morning in Lagos with 23 currently, highs of 32, and we'll see highs of 31 in a mostly cloudy Kinshasa at 25, -2 and cloudy. Wednesday afternoon in Beijing, highs of -1 and lows of -4. It's 8 degrees and cloudy in Paris, 8 degrees and cloudy in London, 5 and clear in New York, highs of 8 and lows of -1.
3, 2.
Everybody, welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation.
Heri Latifa, Muga, Madam Du, nimesalamia wote sana.
Tumepokea salamu, asante sana.
Hapa Garissa today the weather is very good, only that baridi inatupeleka mbio sana.
Baridi ni degree ngapi hapo?
Hata sijui lakini madam tunakauka sana.
If you want to follow the money trail, you've got to think like a thief to be able to catch that thief.
A slap from a friend is better than a kiss from an enemy. You remember the kiss of Judas Iscariot? Iscariot.
Yes.
Is the one that imetuweka kwa hii mashida yote na mataabu kwa sababu of that kiss. Yet the slap of Jesus Christ, when he slapped those guys and walikuwa wanauza mboga ndani ya kanisa, took them to heaven.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Traffic this morning is not too bad coming off the Thika Superhighway, where you are able to drive at 110 kilometers an hour. You might not be able to this morning because traffic in from Survey through to the city centre is bumper to bumper. So save that for later. Also coming in on Limuru Road, a little bit of that as you approach Pangani. Coming out of Westlands today, it was not too bad. Landis Road is an absolute mess. In and outbound traffic. Going towards Jogo Road or out towards Kamkunji at the roundabout is doing the thing. There's movement on Jogo Road, but it's heavy right around the train station. That still continues. And we'll have pockets of traffic along Uhuru Highway in and outbound. So one to watch out for. Apart from that, I think we're coming out of traffic hour. We'll see what happens through the morning. Let's talk SpiceFM, KE on X.
Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Continuing a conversation on road safety, especially during this festive season. As you are using the road, you need to be careful, and the importance of being careful is what we're discussing. Mary Wangui Omari, Assistant Inspector General of Police, she's a traffic commandant. Peter Odhiambo, Assistant Superintendent of Police, is the officer in charge of road safety at the Traffic Police Department. They're our guests. The importance of road safety, and looking at, the kind of statistics that we've seen, the traffic headquarters collects all this data on a daily basis. You're able to tell how many accidents have been reported across the country and the status of those accidents, whether they're fatal, serious injuries, kind of accident, whether it was lorry, a passenger vehicle, personal vehicles, saloon, or passed on no, pedestrians and all. What's the latest that you have in terms of statistics?
Oh, thank you. So far, we have lost 4,026 people.
This year?
This year.
From January 1st?
From January 1st to yesterday, which was
4,026.
4,026. Last year, at such a period, we had lost 4,386. Meaning that we have reduced the number of fatal victims by 360, which translates to 8%. Those ones who have been seriously injured are 9,795. Last year, same period, we had 9,151, which means that the number has increased by 644, which translates to 7%.
Those are very high numbers. When you think about losing 4,000 people on the road, many of these accidents could have been avoided.
Yes.
Like you've said, over 86% of accidents are attributed to human error. It's accidents that could have been avoided, things that should have been done by the people on the road, that they didn't do them.
Yes.
What are you doing to counter that?
Yes, we are doing a lot. We are doing what we call the 3 E's of road safety. We are doing enforcement, and I think that is the language that most Kenyans understand. They need to be arrested, to be taken to court and fined, so that they know that it is bad to violate traffic laws. We also do a lot of education, like you have given us an opportunity to do today, and liaising with the relevant government authorities, road authorities like Kenya, Kera, and Kura, we alert them on where we have problems on the road. And the information we give them, the data we give them, informs or what they're supposed to do. For example, they mark the black spots using the data we give them.
But you say it appears like many Kenyans want this enforcement. That's when they'll obey the law. Are you saying that you think Kenyans have a propensity to break the law? Like, it's in our DNA. Sharia. Lete nyundo. Break it.
It is a problem, and we need to keep talking to our fellow Kenyans, because you find that even people board a public service vehicle, a matatu, and they will not fasten their safety belts until they see a police officer. That's when you find somebody struggling to find mshipi iko wapi, and you wonder, is it their lives or many life a police officer? Yeah. And you will find people doing the wrong speeds, overspeeding, until when you reach somewhere in Kinungi, Naivasha, the cops are there. But after that, you have to catch up and make up for the lost time. So it is about our behavior, our culture, and we really need to change.
Madam, it isn't even so much lost time. Now I'm speaking as a fast driver. It is the thrill of driving fast. And depending on the time, sometimes if the road is bad, you really cannot drive fast. This is one of the pitfalls of having a good road. And if the car permits, and some of these vehicles do permit you to actually drive fast, so one wants to motor. The thing that perhaps we haven't internalized, those of us who use the roads fairly often, is why it is that those speed limits are set. We either ignore or we've decided not to pay attention to it. There is a reason why. Because one, at the speeds that people like driving at, it is difficult to control a car.
Yes. And
should something happen suddenly, you will not be in a position to control that car, much as you may try.
Yes.
And then there is also the simple matter of, call it the mindset. You see, this mindset that we have as Kenyans, the accidents you speak of, the speed we drive at, are actually a manifestation of what goes on in our heads, especially the men. Why does someone do something which they instinctively understand could put their lives in danger, and yet they do it? And then a period when there are very many people on the road, like the period we're going into, they still insist on doing it. Why am I asking this question? Because I want you to tell us, during these holidays, whether it's Easter or December.
Or West.
Yes.
Or Easter or December. Okay, go on.
See, East or West or North.
Sorry.
Apologize again, please.
Sorry.
Thank you. Now, what I was saying was, do we see more accidents during these festive seasons?
Yes.
We do.
Yes.
I don't think, and Peter, you can come, I don't think that we like to break the law. I don't think so.
What do you think we like doing, Eric?
I think this is just a product of culture. And the culture here is impunity. The culture of impunity, and it comes in very many ways. It comes in many ways in terms of you are faced with so many obstacles that you're trying to circumvent those obstacles. Obstacle number one is there is likelihood, this is December. We are in December. Hapa Kinungi, hapa Maimahiu, there is likelihood of traffic. So you want to go fast before you traffic ishikane. All those things combined, and then a traffic police officer will stop you. The whole process that they'll take you through, you're thinking, you know what, you will get into it because of this whole culture of impunity. And the impunity had started from top to bottom. It comes from the top. If the guys who are supposed to do the things that they ought to do with the roads have not done the things that they ought to do with the roads, it comes down into those who are enforcing. If they're not enforcing properly, it comes down into those who are using the road, your adults. If they've not done what they ought to do, you have learnt it, you've joined the road. My daughter now joining the road will be like, okay, but this is how we drive in Kenya. Recently, I was in Spain. 3 weeks, I did not encounter one officer on the road. And I drove for 5,000 kilometers across south of Spain. Not a single police officer. Signs are there, you can see. Drive down 60, and people are observing 60. The car in front of you has gone, and you can see nobody is overtaking. Everybody is observing this limit. It's at 60. There is a continuous yellow line. Nobody is overtaking. You can see the road is clear, but there's a yellow line. Nobody is overtaking. It's a culture that they have. And you don't have to have police officers. Where there are speed guns, they will tell you there is a speed gun. Not here where somebody is hiding under a bush somewhere. We say, wait, KAG. And then the couple of karatasi, where is the KAG? It's a whole culture thing. And we've got to deal with culture. Now, he's a behavioral scientist. He'll tell us how we can address this culture. I don't think that we were born to break the law in this country. We were not taught to break the law in school. We were not brought up to break the law by our parents.
Actually, the reason why impunity thrives is because we have options. And the options are you, our colleagues. Because I can bribe one of you. I can convince you to receive money instead of making me pay the full penalty for my mistake. And I know that option exists. So the inconvenience of being taken to court can be circumvented. And so long as I know it can be circumvented, it's like I am prepared for it. I can negotiate. Now, since the negotiation is there, is it possible for us to just make it law so that we are told? Yes.
Instant fine.
Not just instant fine. If you are doing this speed and this speed, these are the options available to you. And where you have police officers, there's also a sign. Call it a pay bill number. Call it, hapo. We don't have to worry too much about you bothering you to come to court and what have you. If you can't, then you're going that way.
And it can be done, isn't it?
Yes.
But this is not instant fine.
No.
But that's instant.
It is instant. No, I haven't finished my discourse.
Right.
Okay? So as to incentivize the police officer to also ensure that they get the maximum possible fine for this person. An arrangement is made that if you collect above this, collect and it goes to the police, on that same day also.
Target.
Yes. Your 10-20% comes to you directly. So the issue of me arranging a deal with the police officer is reduced completely because they're going to get the money. If they charge you, they'll get theirs directly. Now, I'm giving that as an example, my thinking, because...
So you bribe the police to collect?
No, you do not. you will reduce the element of bribery because the police is incentivized to collect as much money as possible because they will also get their percentage from the government
because
for
they are
having
holding you for something that you've actually
actually done
in contravention of the law.
Atakutafutia makosa, my friend. There will be takataka inside your car. Your car is dirty.
And it's a crime.
In addition, I think it's a good thing we have a behavioral scientist. One of our bad cultures is that we normally point a finger. I speed, cause an accident, then it's the mistake. It's the police who I can bribe. It's a person who is supposed to be constructing this road properly. It is not me. It is never me. It is never my fault. See, it's everybody else's fault because these accidents are not being caused by police, and it's not the issue. Nobody likes paying a bribe because it means parting with money.
Yeah.
Having said that, these are all issues.
I'm not sure
these are independent issues. Yeah. Corruption is an issue that we need to deal with, and we are looking at it and putting in place measures to deal with it. We have road traffic accidents, which is also an issue, and we want to deal with it. So there's an issue with our behavior and culture. It's deeper because, like, for example, you are allowed to do 110 along Thika superhighway, but now we have people who have encroached, people who have bought land. What do we call it? They've gone and bought plots and settled there. So initially it was intended to be a superhighway, but now people have
on the road
settled there. Now that people have settled there, now we have to again construct footbridges. We have to put zebra crossings on the road, which was not the which was not in the initial design.
And that is the fault of the designer. The fault of the design. Those are the things that, as a designer, you foresee. This is going to open
Latif, it is never your fault.
You can never foresee such things. What they do is just to construct the road and then see what happens later and then put interventions in place. Like, for example,
as quickly as possible.
Yeah, okay. For example, now if people have encroached, how do you deal with that problem? Put speed bumps, or the speed calmers, put footbridges so that you address the problem.
We're the first to acknowledge just how overwhelmed and perhaps unfacilitated the police services. We acknowledge it every day here. I personally have many friends in the police force and I know how they live, and it's something we never stop speaking about.
Police service.
Police service. My apologies. Police service. The age comes into these things. It was police force for so long. This service thing hasn't quite sunk. But what I'm saying is, when I gave that example, I was simply saying there are creative ways of ensuring that the law is obeyed and that people do their bit. Because usually when you are stopped for speeding, you were speeding.
No doubt about it.
Yes, every once in a while you may not have been, but you were speeding. And most times when you're stopped and there's something wrong with your car, there is something wrong with your car. Okay? But as you say, we don't want to admit. Okay, essentially we're saying, okay, there's something wrong with my car, so what?
Just let me go and
bribe out
yes,
of
exactly. Now, this attitude that we speak of, and as you correctly put it, is deeply entrenched, but it does not mean it cannot go away.
It can go away.
The reason why I will go back to the police service is because you have the mandate, the responsibility, and the ability. You actually are in a position to begin the process of halting it. You actually do. Imagine a situation where the police refuse to take a bribe. Just say, no. Ndugu, Pole, this is the mistake. This is what you're supposed to do. If you need time, we'll give you time. But this is what you are going to do.
You must go to court.
Yes, very politely. There's no, sorry, Ndugu, this is the law. Now, can you imagine the ripple effect of that? So that you know it will not be accepted. And in fact, you'll be told, the only thing I'm doing is I'm not charging you because you're actually committing offense by offering me this. But I'm telling you, you have to make a candle. This is what you're supposed to do, and you're going to do it. Now, I can't do that for myself. Somebody has to do it. And that somebody happens to be the people in the police service.
Yes.
Automatically, people realize this isn't going to flow. Somebody is so drunk they can barely stand, and they're driving the car. Now, that person ought to be taken in to sober up because they are going to cause a problem. But we still allow them to go because they have just enough clarity to realize I'm in trouble here, and perhaps if I talk nicely. Now, all I'm saying is, when we carry out our duties as we should, then this problem that we've been lost for the longest time immediately begins to reduce.
Yes.
Because there's clarity, and you know. Now, I'm saying this because I lived in a time when I was a child, but I was a child at some point. Yes. I know it's difficult to imagine, but I was. It was not possible for you to actually bribe a policeman.
Yes.
It was, or policewoman. You could not. You would actually be told very politely, look, just let's go to the police station, and, because you've committed an offense. What stops us from going back there?
It is possible, it is doable, and we must accept that corruption is a societal problem.
It is.
These police officers are a reflection of the society.
They certainly
because
are.
They come from where? From the society.
Yes,
they are part of the society, and it is the public that sometimes even tempt the police to take a bribe, and it is an offense for you to give a bribe or to receive a bribe. So if we as Kenyans decide that we are going to follow the law, we are not going to offer a bribe to a police officer, we are going to address this problem effectively.
Well, Nagama, we're going into this festive. I mean, it has already started for lots of folks. I mean, from yesterday, people are driving all over the country, all over the place. And I think it's interesting to hear from those who are essentially the vanguards of safety on the road, traffic police, to say, look, this is what we would like you to do. People are traveling, and we know public service vehicles, for example, that go long distances are trying to do back-to-back trips. Of course, for the commercial value, they're trying to make as much as they can and take advantage of the festivities. What would be your advice? What are we telling people this season? I remember something that is very graphic in my head, that around this time there used to be it was not a caricature, it was the actual mangled vehicle that they would put at certain points across and say, speed kills, arrive alive, things like this. Maybe resonated with quite a number of people. But what are we asking people to do at this time and say, guys, please, let's reduce this number from 4,000. Let's get it lower. What are we saying?
What you're saying is that instead of having to drive very fast, why not leave early? Why not leave a day earlier? That's for those who will be using, personal vehicles. Because, by the way, most accidents are attributed to drivers of personal vehicles as opposed to PSVs. Okay. Yes, personal vehicles are the leading cause of accidents in our roads, followed by motorcyclists, then truck drivers, then matatus, then PSVs come a distant fourth. Okay, so as much as we are going to concentrate on PSVs, but let's ensure that these drivers of personal vehicles ensure leave early. Yes, when you're driving, do not be fatigued. Do not drink and drive. The normal regulations. As for PSVs, I know for every business, the ultimate goal of every business is to maximize profits. But let's have at the back of our minds that we are dealing with lives. One life lost is one too many. So let me do as much as possible. Let's make sure if you're doing an 8-hour drive, let's have 2 drivers. Okay, take some time and rest. Okay, and even as much as you're targeting profits, and then when you're doing routes, make sure it's a route you're familiar with. Okay, this also comes into play. You're doing a route that you're not very familiar with, and then maybe you're doing it at night. Okay, and let's observe speeds. Okay, I'd rather drive for 10 hours and arrive safe and alive than do 8 hours at the risk. You might not cause an accident, but at the risk of getting involved in an accident. Let's look at the risk. The enemy here is not the police on the road. The enemy is the accident. Losing lives. That's the enemy. And it's our joint enemy. So let's be jointly and severally responsible for this to ensure that everybody arrives alive. Motorcyclists, ensure you wear a helmet. Okay. As a pedestrian, when you're walking on the road, ensure that you wear bright colored clothes. Yes, it's our joint responsibility for every one of us to ensure we do our best so that we do not lose any lives.
You put it very well, Peter. A question. There seems to be selective enforcement of the law on motorcyclists, boda, and VIPs? It's a question that's coming. How do you respond to that?
Expound further.
VIPs will be on the wrong side of the law.
They'll be allowed to go.
Okay, all right. True.
Borders will not
They
observe
disobey all
traffic
traffic
lights.
everything. And the police are there watching.
They'll carry 17 passengers, million passengers.
A sofa set, a cow.
Yes. It's not. It's just that you will necessarily notice those ones, the VIPs. How many VIPs will be using the road and maybe break the law in every certain road? I mean, for every
one VIP using the road and breaking the law is one VIP.
Is one VIP, and I agree.
They ought to be setting the example of obeying the law.
And I agree with you. So I will urge VIPs to also leave early. That's number one. Number two, if you are a traffic police officer, the law applies to all. VIP and all, the law applies to all, of course, and of course there are certain instances like we will not expect the president to sit on traffic. Okay, so those arrangements, there will be those special arrangements. Just wait. There are those special instances, but there are isolated cases. For motorcyclists, yes, it's dealing with motorcyclists. There are a class of road users who need special attention, and we put in measures. In fact, when you go to motorcyclists, they'll complain that you are arresting too many of us. There are certain measures that we put in place. I'm not going to expose all of them. Some of them are being arrested by not necessarily by police officers who are not necessarily in uniform.
Right.
But we are dealing with them, and they are the second leading number of fatalities, motorcyclists. So we have put in place measures to deal with them. But number one is we are educating them, telling them that your life is more important.
Indeed.
Yes.
Indeed. And we actually saw that. We've seen various fora organized by the police department, by the Ministry of Interior, to bring in the borders, to organize them into circles, and all that, which is a good step. Asanteni sana for joining us. Come again before Christmas Ishe. Let's have another conversation.
Yes.
It's important to keep talking and talking and talking.
Yes, thank you.
Mary Wangoyo Mari is the traffic commandant, and Peter Odhiambo is the in charge of road safety at the Traffic Police Department. Thank you for tuning in to Kenya's biggest conversation today. Enjoy your Wednesday. See you again tomorrow, 14th of December. It's 10 a.m.
Good morning, this is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. Matungulu Member of Parliament Stephen Mule has expressed his frustrations against the government's position to remove visa requirements for foreign nationals starting